Well, the news leading up to Raw Reunion couldn't have been better. A couple longtime writers got fired. I mean, it's never good to see anybody lose their jobs, but it seemed like things were going in the right direction. All the stars were in town. Everybody was there. It looked like we were going to get a Raw Reunion that we actually wanted. Well, we didn't, did we? We didn't get it. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right here, right now on your Morning Slam. Let's friggin' go. All right. It is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019, and I am Dead on Dave. This is your Morning Slam, man. It's the show that we do all the wrestling stuff on. We talk about all of our Raw reviews, our SmackDown reviews, and all those wonderful things. And we had a dandy. I was going to do this live because I was so excited. I almost did a live reaction to it. I almost did a live review to it. But after watching it, I couldn't justify doing either. I wanted to like the Raw reunion. I had rose-colored glasses. I had raw-colored glasses, which is something I typically like to say I don't have, even though some people have always said I do. You guys can eat a dick burger, by the way. A dick burger. Dick burger. Okay, anyway. That'll get me demonetized. But I can't defend last night. Like, there's no defending last night. The first hour was fine. It seemed like things were going in the right direction. I liked that they were mixing in story with the legends, and the legends weren't overstepping anything. And it seemed like a lot of times the legends were being used. It was to put people over. I thought there were some good spots. I liked the first iteration of that with Cena, and then we got Rikishi and Devon Dudley. But I got to be honest, man, it was hard watching some of these guys move. No wonder they didn't let Rikishi dance. Good Lord. Rikishi is probably still trying to recover from a perpetually strained friggin' groin from 1999. You got Devon, who's probably still sweating somewhere in the Americas. You have Pat Patterson, who might actually be dead last night. Holy God, he looked like he was dead. Gerald Briscoe, who I thought was dead, was very pleasantly surprised to find out that Gerald Briscoe was still alive. It was painful watching a lot of those moments. It was more painful than I thought it was going to be. I'm a guy typically who doesn't mind things getting older, people getting older and all that. But there was something about last night's nostalgia and then the way that the night progressed, especially the ending. It just all felt desperate. It all felt desperate, and they had no clue what they were doing with it. Now, there are reports that have come out that there were countless issues, countless headaches last night, and mainly revolving around the medical crew. Apparently, they weren't allowing anyone to do shit. I guess original plans were RVD. I mean, RVD's coming out. He's got to give a 5-star splash, and apparently they wouldn't let him do it, and that is why Ray gave his very bizarre version. I've never seen Rey Mysterio that looked that unbalanced before. Like, everything was just weird last night. And if you notice, I'm not going in order. I'm not doing what I usually do, because screw that. This was a train wreck, and we might as well have a train wreck of a review. I'm okay with that. I do not have a single solitary issue with it, as long as you guys don't. I don't care. I'm just really, at this point, spitting about the things that I saw last night, what irritated me. Like I said, there were some things that worked. I really liked what they did with Drew McIntyre. I enjoyed that. And then, right around that halfway point, when they should have kicked it up, it felt like it dropped off completely. Going into the third hour, all the hopes were there. AJ Styles and Seth Rollins were just, this is what weirded me out. Because up to that point, it felt like they were doing a good job of not making the legends overshadow the current talent. And then that's exactly what they did with the most important match of last night. There were no great wrestling that happened last night. There was no good wrestling on television. Like, nothing. Nothing happened on Raw that I would consider a good wrestling match. Decent stuff, but nothing solid. A night like that needs to be reminded why we love wrestling. And AJ Styles and Seth Rollins, it was perfect. You literally couldn't have picked two better guys. And it made sense in the course of the storyline of Raw. All of it made sense. But instead, we get DX coming out to save Seth Rollins. And then, everybody else that comes out, the entire DX Click NWO Army. It was a very, very weird thing. I don't know why WWE hasn't made Click shirts, by the way. Like actual just anybody, no more DX, no more NWO. If you're old as shit and you've been a part of those groups, you're wearing a Click shirt. Deal with it. I would much rather have that because it was just confusing. We didn't even get a Hollywood Hogan sighting out of it. It was just a very weird night overall. There were a few things that I thought stood out. Bray Wyatt being one of them, obviously. Bray Wyatt, wherever he goes, whatever he does, it's always a standout. Beating up Mick Foley is an old trope in wrestling, and it always works. Nobody likes to see Mick Foley beaten up, but everybody likes to see Mick Foley beaten up. It's a very weird thing. But my favorite part of the segment was the return of the Mandible Claw. Now, I think this is brilliant. I really hope this was a torch-passing moment for Mick. Like, I want the Mandible Claw to live on. Bray Wyatt is perfect to have the Mandible Claw. Hopefully that's what that was. I don't think it was. It was probably just a throwaway one-off more than likely, which is really unfortunate, but that's what it felt like. And really, aside from that, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot more that went down. It was just legend, 24. Let's talk about the 24/7 title. Ooh, man. Wheels really fell off this one completely. I like the 24/7 title. I like the idea of it. I think there is a lot that can be done with that title. Matches. There could be good, solid matches, but it's roll up, run. Comedy shtick, roll up, run. That's why I didn't have a problem with any of the women winning last night. WWE is slowly and surely going closer and closer to intergender wrestling, and it's only going to get pushed further when Tess Blanchard becomes the Impact champion. She's going to be Brian Cage for the Impact title. And my head will explode when it happens, but it's going to happen. But WWE is inching closer because of those things and other movements outside of WWE that are pushing more to intergender wrestling, even though I don't think there's a thirst for it. I don't think there's a big want for it. I don't think a lot of people want to see women and men wrestle fake. You know what I mean? Like, I think that maybe in 10 years when our races continue to hate each other and eventually want to have a nice ramble with each other, then yeah, let's do it for real. But I don't want to see men and women fake fight. I don't want to see them real fight either, to be fair, but I really don't want to see them fake fight. Definitely don't want to see that. It does nothing for me, but they are definitely inching closer to that. And the 24/7 title thing, as stupid as it was, as throwaway as it was, and R-Truth ending up being the champion at the end of the night, it all meant nothing, but still. Now, the one caveat I'm going to have to that is Kelly Kelly. Kelly Kelly can do anything, and I will enjoy it. Kelly Kelly she's Kelly Kelly. That's all there is to it. A name so nice, you got to say it twice. My God, I'd say her name 100 times in any way she wants. I'd learn languages for that woman, and I can't learn languages. I spent 16 years in Germany. Sprechen Sie dick. Nothing stuck. 3 years of college level German. Nothing. Not happening. But I learned it for her. Because it's Kelly Kelly. Didn't mind seeing her on television at all. It was just a very weird thing. Can't defend it. I'm not, like, even in the context of Kelly Kelly and loving her as much as I do, can't defend it. It was stupid. It was dumb. I hated all of it. It was all roll-ups. 24/7 title needs one thing. Needs Drew McIntyre or Braun Strowman, one of the two. And they need to take the title and say, I ain't running. Legends could have won that title last night, man. And apparently that might have been the plan, and it's kind of why they went with the women. They couldn't get anybody, not a single solitary person, to be cleared for anything, like no physical contact. It was really weird, apparently. Those are reports that are coming out. I don't know if any of it's true. It's just what's coming out this morning. There was just all kinds of issues with medical, and nobody was able to do shit. So we'll see if that's the case. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Everybody just makes shit up and just hopes that nobody calls him out for it. You know, that's what Meltzer does. He hopes that someone in WWE isn't going to leak something to show that he's completely full of shit. But he was right last night on a lot of things. It really just was a train wreck, though. It really was. There was a couple of segments that I thought could have saved the night. I liked the Medusa thing. I would have liked to see her actually trash the 24/7 title, because let's just stop it now. Ted DiBiase, I felt bad for the $1 Million Man. Nobody knew who he was. Ted DiBiase got the worst reaction of the night last night. Like crickets. No one had a fucking clue. And this is part of the problem that WWE faces. Now, I've said over and over, and I'll continue to say, the correct demographic for WWE go after is the child demographic. They always have, they always should, they always will. I have no problem with it. I think it's the smart business way to go. It may piss a lot of wrestling fans off, but luckily we live in a world where there's a lot of options out there, and you don't got to be beholden to WWE if you don't want to. Now, the inherent problem with that is when you covet just a large fan base and maybe they are not using your services like the network, their parents aren't maybe into it like some of us parents are, they don't know who any of these people are. They don't know the history. They don't need to learn the history because they're too young to give a shit. And once they start learning the history, they're going to start asking questions and they're going to become cynical assholes just like the rest of us. So it's a vicious cycle that WWE finds themselves in. But last night was kind of the comeuppance of that, because there was a lot of people that a lot of these kids simply just did not know. And it kind of took away from it as well. I guess we could talk about the good. We could talk about probably the best thing that happened last night, aside from the Bray Wyatt situation. It was the ending. Emotional and weird. Emotional and weird are the two things that I'm going to say. God, I don't know if Stone Cold was drunk or if he had a gun to his head about what he had to say. That whole WWE family shit, Stone Cold took his ball and went home. He has bitched incessantly about WWE over the years. This family bullshit is really annoying. It's not. Look, I don't think things are as bad backstage as some of the bitter people that have left WWE have made it out to be. I don't. I don't think that some of the people that have stayed for as long as they have would have, if it is bad as it's made out to be at times by certain people. However, they ain't a motherfucking family in the way that Stone Cold was. They are in some senses. Wrestling is a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood, a sisterhood. I get what Stone Cold was trying to say. But when he was making it specifically about WWE, that just felt, it gave me douche chills. It gave me douche chills all up and down my spine. I'm like, this is not the way to market this. This is not the way to market this to these kids. This is not the way to market this to your old fans. This is just, it's tripe. You can't just have them rooting the WWE banner. Look at Seth Rollins. Really, Seth Rollins' decline or his starting to go down the hill of popularity seems to have started with him running his mouth. Now that Becky Lynch probably took over his goddamn Twitter account, he doesn't shut the fuck up. And I like Seth, and I agree with what he's saying, but it's not going to work. It ain't going to work. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody is rooting for you. That's the problem, WWE. You're the top dog, and everybody else is coming at your heels, and you're not acting like top dogs. You're acting like you're at the top of the pack, but you're not being chased. And that's the problem. Maybe you need to realize you are being chased. Even if you don't see AEW as competition, and I don't think they actually are. Only the TNT deal is really going to come up with that. But they're not going to, I don't think they'll break $1 million for maybe the first year, if that. I just don't see it happening, but maybe I'm wrong. TNA has never really been full-on competition, because even when they were at their best, so was WWE. WWE was doing fine during the aughts. The 2000s, you know, they were doing perfectly fine. So it's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing. So even if you don't feel that the competition is there, you can't act like there's not, you know, and because when you do, we get things like last night, where it's just, you have the best talent in the world. You have the biggest superstars, past, present, and future. You got some of the most amazing talkers backstage, and none of them gets a mic? Nobody gets a mic. Triple H doesn't even do his DX thing. Shawn Michaels gets physical, but he doesn't do it. It was weird. Why were we announcing everything, too? The announcements were awful. The best thing about the 90s and the Attitude Era, was the fact that anything could happen at any time. The announcements were minimal. It was the glass breaking. It was, if you smell, and we'll talk about The Rock in a moment too, because I was wrong on that one. Carl G, you were correct, sir. And I was 100% wrong there, but I really did think The Rock was going to show up. But I'll talk about it in a second. That was the best part about those days, was the music hitting and then chaos breaking loose or something unexpected happening. We didn't get any of that. And most of the backstage stuff that we got, we didn't get any themes for. We didn't get to see him come out on stage. I'm glad I got to hear Kelly's themes. I love her song. Good Lord. Ugh. There's really not much about Kelly. I don't like, to be fair. But this was just the theme of the night. I don't know if it was being unprepared. I don't know if it was being naive. I don't know if it was, getting rid of the two Steve writers early in the day. I don't know if that threw stuff into flux, got everybody scared. Nobody wanted to take risks. I don't know if, actually they got fired on Friday apparently. So the shock would have been over by then. But I mean, all these things that went down, it was bizarre. And I don't know if the medical staff had something to do with it to this degree. But even if, RVD was able to do a frog splash, and maybe, like some of the rumor was maybe X-Pac maybe doing something wrestling related, all these things that could have happened, none of it happened. It just felt flat. It felt very flat. And I hate to do a review where it's just completely negative, but sleeping on the Raw review did not make it sleeping on the Raw reunion did not make it any better in my head. In fact, it made it worse. It made me hate it even more. And I was a cynical dickhead yesterday. I had one of the worst days I've had in like forever yesterday mentally. Oh my God. If somebody could have gave me gold and I would have been like, there's a spot on that gold and now I hate you. It was a terrible day. And yet I hate Raw reunion more now than I did last night. That's a problem. That's a problem. It was just not a good show. And I'm not going to sit here and keep reiterating it. I'm trying to think of anything that I really did enjoy other than the first hour, as I did think the first hour was pretty much okay because I thought it was going in the right direction. But the wheels completely fell off. So I'm asking you guys, I need your help. Hit me up in the chat. Tell me what you liked, what you loved, what you hated, what you think will fix it. Should they worry about doing the same thing for the SmackDown 20-year anniversary? Should they learn from obviously they should learn from these lessons, but will they learn from these lessons? And the final thing that we're going to talk about before I skedaddle my big ass out of here is The Rock and that 20-year SmackDown anniversary show, which they don't even know when it's going to be. So Meltzer had reported that The Rock was not going to be there. Now, I go contrarian on things like this quite often. For one, because Dave Meltzer's a turd. And two, I used a little bit of my own logic. I figured with WWE advertising much as they did, they'd have one surprise. They'd have one guy that everybody figured wouldn't be able to be there, and then he'll be there. And I thought that man would be The Rock. It made the most sense to me. Carl earlier in the day yesterday told me that he didn't think that Rock was going to be there because WWE didn't want to blow their load for the SmackDown thing, which is what Meltzer said and other people had said. And that's perfectly fine, and it's a decent logic, but I didn't like the logic because having The Rock on Raw and SmackDown big shows is not a bad thing. And The Rock has been on other Raw these type of clip shows, whatever you want to call it. So it didn't seem that big of a stretch to me for him to do both. And considering that WWE doesn't even know when they want to have the reunion or the 20th anniversary, because that happened back in April. 20 years happened fucking in April. You know what I mean? So for them to celebrate it, it's weird. There's rumors that The Rock is going to be on the very first one, and maybe the first one on Fox will also be the 20-year anniversary. But why would you do that? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you have both these big... The first show is going to do big numbers. So why would you combine that with something else? Now, if you have The Rock on the first one on Fox, can you also bring him back in a couple of weeks for the 20-year anniversary? Well, see, it's the same dilemma. Because why wouldn't he be there? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Now, the biggest thing why I thought he was going to show up is because SmackDown has no marquee matches. None. Like, there's 4 matches, and there's nothing big. So I was like, Roman and Rock. It's got to happen. And then when there was 10 minutes left last night when Stone Cold Steve Austin hit the ring, I thought for certain The Rock was going to show up. I really did. And he didn't. He didn't, and it wouldn't have saved anything. It wouldn't have helped anything. He probably made the right call, but it's like, what do you do? If you're going to make this big, if it's going to be the biggest Raw reunion ever, you can't claim that if The Rock's not on it. Yes, I understand The Rock has a deep attachment to SmackDown, considering it was named after him. It's The Rock Show and all that. But Jesus Christ, you can't tell the story of Raw without The Rock. So I don't know, man. The Rock is every bit as important to the history of Monday Night Raw as Stone Cold Steve Austin is. So to have one there and not the other, it just seems weird. I'm just wondering if it was The Rock's call or WWE's call. I got a feeling it was The Rock's call. WWE will have The Rock all the time if he'd allow it. But now The Rock is, like, for the last few years, with The Rock being the highest grossing actor in the world, people, were like, hey, he's a damn big movie. Now he is the big movie star. The Rock is such a big movie star that he's helped getting over other wrestlers into man, what a smart move. Like, Vince is probably like, how do we replicate what The Rock did? Well, The Rock's like, trust me, just let me get him into the Fast and Furious movie. I'll get Roman into one of these damn things, and I'll get Cena into one of these damn things, and everything's going to be A-okay, Vince. Don't worry. And that might be exactly what's going on. I don't know, but it's a weird thing. The whole thing was weird. Raw reunion was weird, and it was lackluster to say the least. So we come to the part of the rating. What are we going to give Raw reunion? I'm a guy who baselines a lot of shows at 5s, but I'm going to do something I typically do not do. I am going to put expectations and potential in the calculations here. And because of the potential, because of my own personal expectations, I can't give this any more than a 3. It was that is one of the lowest ratings I've ever given any wrestling product in the history of this show. For, back when I was doing this every day for a few years, never gave a shit. I don't think I've ever given a TNA pay-per-view or anything that I've ever tried to watch this low of a, it was really, it's not even that I felt that the show itself was all that bad. I was fairly entertained. I'm just salty over, I'm going to be that wrestling fan that I tell you guys not to be. I didn't get anything that I wanted, and I'm fucking mad. You know what? I'm going to be entitled today, and y'all can be entitled too. Sometimes when you get promoted something like the greatest reunion in history, guess what? You got to be given the greatest reunion in history. And WWE did not do that, and that is the big problem. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? Hit me up in the comment section. Keep the conversation going. Like this video, retweet it, and let everybody know that we are back doing videos again, apparently, too. Look at this shit. Holy God, not only am I doing wrestling again, but I'm doing videos? What? So if any breaking news happens, you can expect a nice little video because this was easier than I thought it was going to be. So let's get out of here on that note. Thank you guys very much for being here. Keep it copious, folks. And remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. And I will be your talented friend. Catch me on Twitch. I'm there every day. I'll be there in a little bit. Probably by the time that you're finished watching that, I might be on Twitch. So get your asses over there and come hang out with me there, and we'll keep the conversation going. We'll see you next time. Peace out.